If you think about all the people in your life who don't belong in a war zone, who comes to mind? Of course, it's a ridiculous question. I mean, who does belong in a war zone? But for me, it'd be my cousin Darius. He's a peaceful, eccentric man, and he just got shipped off to Iraq this past Saturday. Since he was 8 years old, my cousin has been a vegetarian. Once he figured out where meat came from, he decided it wasn't worth killing the animal for him to eat it. He's 38 now and remains a vegetarian. He joined the reserves while finishing med school. It helped him pay for his schooling, and back in the late 90s, the possibility of being sent to a war was so unlikely. Not only is my cousin a peaceful man that wouldn't hurt a fly, literally, he also happens to be half Iranian. But Darius, like most of my family in the U.S., is about as Iranian as, well, apple pie, which is to say we can all imitate a Middle Eastern accent very well. But when push comes to shove, we're all pretty damn American. We embrace the freedoms of this side of the globe. We marry who we want, and before that we have premarital sex. We choose our careers and our hometowns. We swear. We are independent and we are free. But lately, I can't help but ask myself, what does that mean? With Darius and others in Iraq fighting in the name of freedom, I can't help but wonder what freedom is, and how much longer good people will have to fight. Darius was named after Darius the Great, who was the second ruler of Persia after the reign of Cyrus the Great. Cyrus was seen as the most benevolent and tolerant ruler of his or any other time. Darius, on the other hand, helped assassinate Cyrus's son in order to gain the throne. If Cyrus built the Persian Empire, it was Darius who organized it. He wasn't just an administrator, but a great conqueror. His reign marked the peak of the Persian Empire, which started to crumble by the mere fact of its size. It was about the same size as the U.S. today. When it was my turn to name a child in this new homeland of ours, I chose the name Cyrus. With my husband's Irish surname, I thought he needed a good Persian name to explain those eyebrows.
Are you saying hi to Ken? Hi, Ken. Hey, Ken. Hi.
It's so safe to name your child after a great ruler from 100 lifetimes ago. You can easily explain, "You remember Cyrus the Great? He was good to the Jews." People nod, "Oh yeah," and smile approvingly. It's weighing me down, these thoughts of my peaceful cousin and everyone else in Iraq, amidst the brutality of war. For Middle Eastern Americans, you see the Iraqi casualties as cousins. Of course, the terrorists and the Abu Ghraib prisoners also look like cousins. And when people look like you, it makes you feel like you know their families and their dreams. I can't help but be appalled by the whole idea of war in this day and age. The Persians were, of course, also civilized, but damn if we haven't figured out a better way to conquer since 500 BC. I mean, what about a game of tug-of-war or a chess match? And I think what my life would have been like if my family remained or returned to Iran. I certainly wouldn't have had my first child at 36, been able to have a career, make documentaries all over the world, make more money than my husband, or makeup if I wanted to. Of course, then I think about how nice it'd be to have older children by now. Be able to be home more, not have to work so much, take an occasional siesta. I realize these freedoms and this lifestyle are simply the result of a choice that my parents made and I was born into. I don't know if it's the best choice, but I don't see my family in Iran suffering from their choices. My physics teaching aunt with her great memories of a marriage of love and respect surrounded by her grandchildren, my cousins with their 4 languages and intense love of soccer. What I do foresee them suffering for is our American freedoms and the fight for it if it reaches their shore. Maybe by the time Cyrus gets older, they'll just have a chess game to decide who gets the cheapest oil. But for now, Darius and others will fight for the countries they belong to and the causes, both worthy and fabricated, that they believe in. My family's story is just one story.
God said to Abraham, give me a son. Abe said, hey man, my son is a bum. So out came a rusty AK-47 that was hot flying lead and powder burns in heaven. When they wrote the good book, they left out that news. They never heard of the Star-Spangled Blues. Was down in New Orleans like many men before him. He couldn't handle the tease. He put all the women under his command, found his face in the bottom of a chamber can. Rebels in the bushes, shit on his shoes. He started singing the Star-Spangled Blues. The editor of the paper is my next of kin. I sent him a few words, but they couldn't get him in. Brother Bill's in the courthouse, tie around his neck, but the men from Cincinnati won't make good on the check. They're in the bridge quarter, ordering some booze. They started singing a verse of the Star-Spangled Blues. Jimmy cracking corn when the telephone rang. It was the mayor-elect and his military gang. Out on the veranda was a man from the clan. He was speaking in tongues, I was eating a plan. Jimmy turned a whiter shade of pale chartreuse. He was getting a swing of the Star